It's a plot to drop the IQ, fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones of holly. Suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The hypocrisy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Welcome back to Rogue Soul, where today we get to do November Tarot Oracle. We get to look ahead to our economic outlook, health and wellness, our mental and emotional health, our romantic outlook, our societal outlook, spiritual outlook, and a final message for November. It's looking a little bit shaky. We'll get into all of the things that you can do to be prepared, how to orient yourself towards this coming month, and everything just to keep in mind so that you can float through it with the best effect. And thank you for putting up with me. The cards are good. The reading is sound. I'm potentially a little off as I woke up exceptionally early this morning to get my flight back home. My vacation is over. And so I'm back home and yeah, just like a bit tired, jet lagged, and you know, I think I'm on top of it, but you know, just bear with me in case I'm not. So it's good to be back with you guys all live again. And I hope you enjoyed the few episodes I was able to do while I was gone. It was such a fantastic trip. It was our 7-year anniversary. It's super exciting for me. And for those of you who have been, you know, with Rogue Soul, Rogue Ways, eyes open since the beginning, that means I've also been doing this show for 8 years now. It's been through so many different iterations. It has grown and changed so much as name changes. I've had to change where I host it. I've lost more tens of thousands of subscribers than I could count over all the times the channel's been deleted on various platforms. Even my RSS feed, I lost all my audio listeners because that got monkeyed with by the powers that ought not be, the algorithmic suppression. I mean, it has been insane. I do have the YouTube channel back. So if you haven't heard that, go check out the YouTube channel. It's back at YouTube/C/Rogue Ways, where it always was. You can also just type at Rogue Ways and I think find it. It's also linked to now from all of my places on my link tree, and all the different things I think have been updated for the old channel that's new again. So you can go there. I've started to stream there again. So far, I haven't been kicked back off again. So 5th time's a charm or something. But yeah, really lucky we were able to do this vacation in a fantastic location for our 7-year, and you know, 8 years at the show, 7 years in this amazing soulmate relationship, and life is pretty good. We're quite lucky to be able to afford things and survive in this crazy new world and economy. And you know, we both work super hard to be able to do that. So it's super nice to be able to just take a break from everything. And even my breaks aren't really breaks, because when you own your own business and run your own corporation and do all the projects I do, you don't really ever fully take a break. But it was a nice break anyway. I got to go to beautiful Tierra Verde, Florida, which you may have never heard of, or maybe you have. I don't think it's quite the vacation destination most people default to or choose. And it happened just sort of randomly. We actually saw that our tiny airport locally flew directly there. It's one of the few places we can fly to without going up to Denver International. And so we were looking, you know, where it flies to, and yeah, it flies down to St. Petersburg, Florida. And St. Petersburg, Florida is, you know, where we have happened to drive through, probably 5 years ago now, when we did our Southern road trip tour, you know, back when things were still crazy cheap in the South. That whole trip was so doable, you know, camping, we're driving in the van, gas was really cheap, like food and stuff was still, we were so impressed by how cheap the South was. I don't think that's true anymore, based on this trip at least. maybe we were in the wrong places, but I think it's gone up a bit. But we loved it. We loved St. Petersburg. We loved that area of Florida, especially because the Dali Museum is there. Salvador Dali, and you probably know Johnny by now, Johnny Larson, my guy. He is a pop surrealist, impressionist. You can't categorize him. We're the same in that you can't actually give us a genre. We'll just bust it down on accident. So we don't try to be that way. It's just who we both are. So, we could say pop surrealist. It's a pretty good description, but he's been compared to Salvador Dali many times, many other, sometimes impressionists, sometimes Picasso and those types too. He's a genius. And so if you've seen his art on my splash screens, then you know why he might love Salvador Dali is one of his great inspirations, as well as like Monty Python and, Frank Zappa and just all kinds of mind-bending, experimental sorts of people who are also genius. So, of course, the genius rubbed off, and he's got what it takes. If you haven't checked it out for some reason, you're a little bit crazy, but you should probably go do it now. I've actually linked right below wherever you're listening to or watching this stream or listening to or watching the podcast. You can just click through actually and see his stuff. He's always linked to, because he not only does the art for everything Rogue Ways, Rogue Soul, not 100% of what you see on the splash screen, but you've recognized by now, if you've taken a look at most of them, the episode art, most of it is him. So you've probably know his style by now if you have, but he does all the music too. And all the intros and outros going back 8 years have all been Mr. Johnny Larson. So if you've heard the stuff, I used to play the outro music too. You've heard those. He's prolific. He's an artist and a musician and a genius. So of course we love St. Petersburg when we drove through it, because the Salvador Dali Museum was there and we got to go there. And that was one of, those really beautiful moments that he got to experience in his life, of seeing they have so many pieces there. If you love Dali, it's definitely worth checking out someday. Some of the master works, I think they're called, the huge, like 20-foot by 20-foot piece. You can't even believe how huge these are, as well as just tiny little guys, and so many pieces. I can't remember exactly how many, but it's a lot. I'm going to say at least 40 or 50 or maybe even more. I'm not great with spatial relationships and whatnot, so mathematical relationships in 3D reality are not my thing, but so cool. Such a good museum. The outdoors, they've done a really good job doing tributes to him as well, and hosting artists that are inspired by him. So one day we'll see Johnny in there, but that's part of why we love St. Petersburg. It's part of why we went back, and we got to do but actually, before I tell you a little bit about our vacation, before we get into the tarot reading, I also want to ask you all a favor. Speaking of Johnny, speaking of his art, if you click the first link, actually, it's not normally there below where you're watching or listening. That takes you to his Kickstarter, which I should have gotten a little screenshot to share with you here, but I don't have it. I don't have a share screen available to me right at this moment in the stream, but if you want to go check it out, it is an upcoming project. He's already done some successful Kickstarter in the past, and a really cool project that came out, I think that was 2 years ago already now. So now he's got another one. That one was fully funded. That one was successful. I really think you'll enjoy going to check this one out. It's not actually something you can support yet, except in this way. And this is what I hope you do literally right now. Pause the stream, pause the show, and go do this. Make a reminder to do it if you can't do it right now, right when you're done with this. But please go and do this. It's free. It's easy, and it would massively help his campaign. And that's for you to go to Kickstarter, to the campaign. Even though it's not live yet, you can follow it. And when Kickstarter notices that someone is getting, a good amount of follows, they are more likely to then put their own money and resources into promoting that project. And that can be the make it or break it for campaigns like this. Kickstarter is all about indie artists and supporting art and supporting these different projects, as well as other things, science, technology, and the like. But the little guy needs this attention and this support. So if you can help us break through those algorithms, break through and get that support, it would be so crazy amazing. It's easy for you. It's free for you. You literally, if you don't already have a Kickstarter account, you just make one like you have an account for everything else in the world. And you just go to this link that you see right below where you're watching or listening, and you just hit follow. That's it. You're not going to get 10 million emails. You're not going to have to do anything else. Although I'll tell you, once you're there, you may find you actually want to then get a book or get something and support the campaign in a different way. There's so many cool perks once this goes live in just a few days, actually. So if you're seeing this show live, it's about 3 or 4 days away. And if you're catching it a couple days late, then it's about to happen. So click over, follow, and then come back when it's live and see if you want to support any of the tiers. And thank you so much for doing so. It really, really is something small, easy, and cheap and free for you, but that means the world to us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, love you, love you. And share it. Send it to your friends. If you have people who are like, into Kickstarter, definitely send it to them. If you just have people who are, keyboard warriors, they're easy and they're into doing things like this, petitions or any of that kind of stuff. Like maybe this will be easy for them too. Feel free to share it around. That would be an even bigger help. I wish I could give something back for you, but knowing you've done a good thing, hopefully will be reward enough. So now that I've enticed you to do this, I'll just share a little bit. I know some of you would love to know more about the trip. If you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on Twitter, if you're on my Telegram group, then you've already seen some of the pictures. You already kind of know. And if you're not yet, you can go to any of those places and follow me and be kept abreast of my my other side of life. But yeah, it was beautiful. So this time of year is the low season. Things are a little bit cheaper, therefore. So the place we got was nothing. I even saw a place cheaper. I saw a place that was $200 for a week. That's to stay in a room on the beach with a kitchenette. So like you can be even cheaper like we were and like eat in and make all your food and, go to the grocery store and cook stuff, the cheap vacation. So really, really cheap possibilities down there in that area. Also some expensive one. If you want to go the other way, that's there too for sure. Definitely luxury in the area too. But we were in Tierra Verde, which is just north of Fort. Oh, I already forgot. Just already forgot. Oh, there's a fort that is right south of Tierra Verde. Just north of there is St. Petersburg proper. And then just a little bit north west is the Gulf and the beaches on the Gulf, like St. Pete's Beach, Madeira Beach, and those sorts of areas. So that's the region we were in. We got to hang out right in this area with all the mangroves. It was a wildlife preserve, the Shell Key Preserve, and some other key preserves right in this area around Tierra Verde. Super beautiful, very rural feeling. But there was also some great restaurants. We went out to eat a few times at some of the, world class. Like I'm kind of a foodie, even though I'm not rich, and I love to eat I worked in a lot of kitchens of really, really fine restaurants. So that's how I got my taste for fine food, is by being a kitchen worker for years and years and years. So, so I developed this taste, but I was so impressed actually at these tiny little restaurants in this slightly rural, very out of the way area. If you're ever in St. Petersburg, or if you already are in St. Petersburg and you live there, I know some of you do from the show, so I know you're out there. Go to the restaurants in Tierra Verde. Literally all of them, but especially the Italian one and the fish one. There's 2 fish ones, but both of them are pretty good. But one of them, the one that's upstairs, the little mall, that one, it looks like nothing and it's everything. So really good food at those places. But anyway, really cool. Lots of nature. We got to go kayaking. We got to walk around every day. There's lizards everywhere. There's herons everywhere. There's ibises everywhere. There's cormorants everywhere. There's terns, all kinds of terns. There's just a million birds, kingfishers, whatever fish is big right now in that area, like as in large, was just leaping out of the water constantly. You just see fish jumping everywhere. We saw dolphins. We had this little dock where we were, and we'd go sit out on the dock and watch the sunrise, and there were dolphins would go by, manatee would go by. Really beautiful. When we were kayaking, we saw sharks. There were little sharks, but little sharks, and such really beautiful nature. We did do a night in St. Pete's Beach. We got to walk the beach and see the sunset on the actual Gulf. Really beautiful stuff. We got to spend the day in St. Petersburg proper. We did the water walk, the boardwalk along the bay, Tampa Bay there. We went out to the pier, and then we went to the Dolly Museum again. And That was really nice. A little bit pricier, obviously, but worth it to at least do it for a day. And that's essentially it. We laid around the rest of the time. We just relaxed, but it was really fun. But I'll tell you, I already told you guys last Thursday for winning report about our near-death experience on the plane on the way in. The rest of the trip was uneventful, but the last night, right before we flew back, so this morning we flew back, last night we finally got a kayak trip in. We actually were trying to do kayaking for the whole second half of our trip there, but it kept getting canceled because of the wind. And the wind was only like 15 miles per hour, which I was like, that's not that fast. Like, why would they cancel because of that? But whatever, they probably know their thing, right? Finally, we got one that didn't get canceled, but it was like last night, like the last thing before we, go to bed, all packed up and wake up really early this morning to leave, 4 a.m. So we go out kayaking, beautiful day. I mean, gorgeous. Like you couldn't ask for better kayaking weather as far as, we had some cloud cover, so the sun wasn't beating directly at us, but it's super warm still. So, you can get wet and even jump in the water if you wanted to and not worry about it because it's so warm. Just really gorgeous. Great for photography when you got that cloud cover too. I don't know if you know this, but when the sun's just glaring, it actually washes out all the color, right? It's not the best pictures. So a little bit of cloud cover is perfect. So we got that good photography zone, calm water. Like, no, the wind had died just for this window of kayaking that we had. We got to go by ourselves, so we didn't have to be in a tour group, which is also kind of nice, especially in these shallow preserves and keys that are super easy, So we got out pretty far. We're a couple miles out, and we're paddling around, enjoying ourselves. We went through a mangrove tunnel. These little cormorants just like follow you the whole time and right by you. I mean, you could reach out and touch any of them. They're right next to your kayak because they've learned that they can dive under and the fish below won't see them coming because your boat's shade is sort of like making cover for them. So they love you. So we had this whole entourage of cormorants. We're just having a blast. And literally all of a sudden wasn't predicted in any of the weather apps, wasn't, our kayak people who rented to us didn't cancel. So like they didn't see it coming. All of a sudden this massive wind picks up. I maybe only like 20, 25 miles per hour, enough that like it becomes very difficult to kayak against it. And that's exactly what we have to do because we went a couple miles out and now we're coming back. And so the wind's blowing right at us and we're like, oh my God. And we're kind of like, oh, are we even going to be able to get back? Or are we going to get like blown over to the key and have to like spend the night out there or something, And so we're like fighting this wind. And then like a few sprinkles start and I look up and somehow this massive dark cloud has come straight for us out of like nowhere. So I was like, oh no. I was like, well, it's really warm rain. It's Florida. And it's cool. It's just a sprinkle. And also the wind's starting to die down. So, okay, we're going to make it. So I go, okay, the wind's died down. We're getting somewhere. We're sort of starting. We're like maybe a quarter mile back or something out of our many miles to go back. And then it starts raining harder. And then it starts raining harder. And then it's just dumping deluge. And now we can't even see more than like, I don't know, half a mile at the most. Visibility is nothing. Everything's gray. Everything's just deluge. You just can't see anything. I was for a second hiding under one of the rich people's docks that comes out with all their big boats and their, elevators get their boats out of the water. And I'm like hiding under the dock because it's just like deluging. Our boats are like filling with water. I was like, well, worst comes to worst, like we can walk anywhere in this key. We can get out and drag our boat if that's easier. We could hop out into one of these rich people's lawn and hope that they're not mean. We're not going to die, but it was pretty epically hilarious. So I don't know where the weather came. It didn't even ruin our trip. It actually made it hilarious and kind of more fun because, when you're a kid and it's raining and you want to go out and play in it, but like for me at least, growing up in the Pacific Northwest, that was super cold. So you can't actually go out and get soaking wet. You can wear your raincoat and stay kind of dry and not catch your death, but you want to like be in the rain and get soaking wet. Well, I've never actually been able to do it comfortably too. Warm rain, still 80 degrees as it's dumping rain on you. So the rain's warm and the temperature of the air is warm. Like you're fine. and we just were sopping wet. By the time we got out, pulled our kayaks out, and the guy was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" He's like, "I was gonna call the Coast Guard." We're like, "No, we're here. We're not dead." Oh, so not as near death as the plane, but it's a challenge nonetheless, and reminds you how unexpected life can be on the way in and the way out. So go flying in and then right before we left. But the guy, I just when I got out and he saw me, I was like, "Woo!" I was like, "Yahoo!" And he was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I thought you were gonna be so upset." I was like, "No, we had a blast. We saw dolphins, like manatees, saw shark. I mean, we had a blast. No way. A little rain's gonna ruin our day." So it was pretty cool. Um, but really, really fun, really great. Highly suggest if you can getting a place there sometime, fly down, take a few days, take a weekend, take a week if you can, or whatever it is, and get one of these places in the off season because I know it can get rainy like that. I know there can be a little breeze, but man, most of the days were not, and it's still so hot. Especially if you're not from a super hot place. I mean, it's hot here in the summer, but it's a different heat when it's down there in that humidity. But anyway, still plenty warm, beautiful, tropical, lizards everywhere. It's great. Highly suggest it. We're definitely hoping to go back. Possibly, if you've got a for sale by owner down there and you want to sell it to us, maybe we're interested. Let us know. So we'll get into the tarot now. I've kept you long enough. Let's do it. This is November. We're already here, November 2025. And I honestly have expected this end of this year to go way worse than it has. I see all the challenges that the tarot has predicted and I see them as they go. And just like I've been saying this whole time, even through COVID, right? We were like, well, this is so intense. Like here's Agenda 2021 and we're done for. And it really wasn't, it was bad. It was bad enough, but we got through it. Right. So it's been kind of like that this year. We always, me at least, and I think most of us, when we see something negative is coming, the way we imagine it is far worse than it actually is. It doesn't make it not challenging. It's just we should remember that, give ourselves that perspective. Like, you know what? We've always made it through before, probably going to make it through again. And that's sort of how I see this November. It's a bit rough, but we're going to look ahead to what we can do about it. And that should be really helpful. So we'll start here. This is our economy card. So our message for the economic aspect of November. And this is the 7 of Swords in this deck, the card of uselessness. This is a mental state in which we have so many conflicting messages, and most of them or all of them negative, that we feel or we are essentially rendered useless. So we have the message of uselessness and we feel useless. We imagine ourselves as useless, or we are literally made useless because there's just so much noise, right? We can't act because we don't have clarity. We don't have this consistency. You can kind of see in the background of this image all these different faces and voices, and a lot of them kind of crazed or angry or negative, and that's what that feels like, right? When we get in our heads and we get kind of overwhelmed, that's what it feels like. So this could come a couple different ways. The one I'll watch out for the most, and I'll ask you to watch out for the most, is when we get negative messages about the economy, and then it kind of makes us like stop and freeze up, and we don't want to spend anything, and we want to save everything, and we want to be afraid of what's happening, and we're not sure what to invest in. Do I get Bitcoin or gold or silver or land or whatever, and then we can just kind of stop. And that's not necessarily what's good for us. It's not necessarily good for the economy either. So, I'm not here to give you economic advice. I'm definitely not here to give you investment advice. What I'd say is, in general, if you have things you like to invest in, do it. If you're not sure, don't. But don't resist following instincts you have or following your heart, especially through economic issues in November. Again, most of the time things end up better than we think. And sometimes, especially if you're looking very short term and there's any kind of crash in crypto, crash in gold, crash in property, crash in whatever, people can freak out. You can think, I have nothing now, or, what is life? It's all worthless. It's all useless, right? It's the message of this card. And in reality, it's like, but can you survive? And can you keep it going even? right? I know sometimes people are like, oh, my property value tanked and now I'm paying this mortgage and I'm underwater. Well, you're only underwater if you need to sell right now, right? If you can stay, it'll go right back up again. Absolutely. So if you can manage to stay, it's right. So I'm just saying, switch your perspective a little bit. Instead of letting all the messages of uselessness and anything that might crash kind of get in your head, just go back to like, all right, but do I have food? Do I have shelter? Can I stay alive? Like, yeah, okay, well then I'm good. Right? Things go back up eventually, and sometimes way quicker than we think. The years fly by, in fact. If you're my age or older, we've learned that, right? Every year is faster and faster. So don't let the messages of uselessness overwhelm you. Pick a course and follow it. Don't freeze up and stop. And, if you can work with your mental aspect and give yourself the mantras and the things that will reinforce a positive outlook or a hopeful outlook, that's smart. That's the smartest thing you can do. It's not to lie to yourself, but to remind yourself it's always worth continuing to look forward and move forward. Yep, yep, yep. All right. Our physical health message, what I'm feeling about this is that this might be to do with RFK Jr. in a way that blocks him, stops him, slows him down significantly. That's what this feels like, especially because if I'm remembering correctly, last month or the month before, recently we had also a message about RFK Jr. in the same spot, and it was about the progress he was making. Especially with people's physical health, especially in the United States, and especially with changing, requirements of what we can put in and what we can't put in food and dyes and chemicals, and trying to change the loophole for the assumed harmless clause, that allows people to put anything in a food and just say, oh yeah, we're assuming it's harmless. Like we don't need to test it. All those sorts of things, right? So in the past few months, we've had that message, and it was this exact card, but upright. And so this card is reversed now. And so I would see that this would affect him negatively, and hopefully not kind of directly. Like hopefully we don't have more assassination attempts or harm done to him. And if you're the praying type and you like what he's doing, or you just think people shouldn't be harmed for political reasons, then you could pray some protection over him. That'd be helpful, perhaps. Imagine him, surrounded in love and protection and goodness, or whatever you like to do on the spiritual side of things. Send him some of that love. But I would think that this would be more like, some kind of legal or I don't know, right? Logistical, I don't know, political, just sort of road blocking. And hopefully that's all it is. This card definitely has to do with leadership, and we're talking about our physical health, and he's the most prominent leader in the physical health arena right now in our Western culture here. So that's what seems likely to me. We'll look for that with him, and we'll look also, again, if you're the praying or manifesting type, to help unblock some of that and help protect him from any of that. Hopefully we do even more, making some big progress on requiring the advertisements for pharmaceuticals to have to list every single negative reaction, not just the top 20 or whatever it is now. And so that would require them to pay far too much money and perhaps prevent them from advertising altogether, which would be fantastic for everybody. Vaccines, lots of headway on that, on reducing the childhood schedule, and also not mandating a childhood schedule in order to get access to school or any other thing like that. So lots of progress is being made, and we want that to continue. And so this card is most likely showing some blockages for him in that path. And so we want to just support him moving forward. And in our mental and emotional health, we've got Ra here, the Father of Swords. And so mental and emotional, this is a very mental card. And it's very uplifting. It's a very open-minded, in an intelligent way, in an open-minded but critical way. And this is almost on the level of genius, right? Of using like high level critical thinking and logic skills, the Father of Swords. There's also a lot to this about wisdom. And sometimes wisdom looks like an esoteric aspect or a spiritual aspect or a religious aspect, but it could just be ethical and moral too. And so this is the type of wisdom that is beyond book smarts, right? Maybe it's called street smarts to you, but maybe it's also called wisdom to you. And wisdom is the name of the game in November. We have a heightened ability to connect with our wisdom in November. We have a heightened ability to connect with our logic in November. And we have a heightened ability to lead others through example in November with these skills specifically, with our logic, with our reason, and with our wisdom. And so that might seem like small beans to you, but it is not small beans to the rest of the world. This is actually where we do our best work, is leading by example. And so we want to carry that highest aspect of ourselves, especially mentally. And especially if at the same time we're having this heightened ability and heightened connection in ourselves, especially if there's anything going on astrologically or otherwise that might open other people up to perceiving something beyond what they're already perceiving, then this could be a big shift for us, for everyone, for the collective. So this is what you have access to in November. This is your mental and emotional outlook, is to have some heightened levels of that, some clarity with that, some real forward movement with that. But again, that showing the world, not because you're like, I'm going to show the world this, but because you are just exuding it and you are embodying it, right? So you have that, but if you also bring an intention with that, that maximizes it. So if you say to yourself, all right, in November, I'm going to bring my highest self. You could even do a little prayer about it, or a little bit speaking to your own higher self, like, hey, remind me that I'm in my higher self now. I'm in my highest wisdom now. Help me act it, be it. And if possible, share it with others in a way that inspires them, right? So very cool, actually. Good energy that we've got there in November for that. And perhaps the best time to use it too. In our romance, we've got some challenge. This is the card of love, Two of Cups, but it's reversed. This is sometimes a much deeper love. Sometimes this love card is some of the shallower romance that we have, though. And the reason I hesitate is because it definitely can come up in readings and indicate a higher level. But this seems to indicate that there will be some challenges that could throw us off, especially if we're in a shallower stage of our relationship with someone, like we just met and we're just starting and it hasn't been that long. This could be some significant challenges that arise. And if we're far past that, it can still be challenges, but it'd be much less likely to throw us off completely, right? It's in those earlier stages where a bigger difficulty like this might arise, might be something that happens in November, it might be something with some of the leader figures we've been talking about. It might be something else in society. It might be some of the economic challenges we've looked at for November. Some of those things might arise to cause that challenge. It might be something else. It might be something deeper, collective, that's just arising for a lot of people. And that's why it's coming up in the reading. And it could be all of the above. But again, if you're earlier on in the relationship, this could be a little bit rockier. It could be a little bit harder to traverse. But if you're further along, it's less likely to be like the end, right? And it's not, it's going to go both ways for people if you're earlier on too. So don't take this as gospel and be like, my relationship's doomed. You do your best. The thing is, if this is reversed, it's like some of the fun, some of the flirtatiousness, some of the the part that's really indulgent at the beginning of relationships is kind of lost. And so that can be in itself a challenge, right? This is where you kind of see like, all right, how deep are we going to be together? Were we just here for the fun and the and the ease and the romance and the, or are we here for a bit more? So it can be a make or break moment for a lot of us, for our romance, and for those of us where it's not likely to break. It might just be some challenges that arise, and that's okay. So what's interesting is you can see this, you can say, well, then I'm going to intentionally build in fun and flirtatiousness to my romantic relationship in November specifically. Even if the economy is looking grim, even if weird things are happening politically or socially, I'm going to even schedule it, right? I'm going to make dates. We're going to do fun things on these days, period. You can just purposely turn this card right back around. It doesn't mean you'll avoid the challenges, but you'll have a little bit more fuel to get through them, right? I'm going to purposely have fun with the person I love, and that will give us more of a shared, united energy to go through some of what might be challenging in November. So kind of always a good idea But in November, especially, keep that in mind. Plan that in for yourself. Give yourself the best chance. And then we've got in our society, in the social arena, we have this mixed happiness card, which is exactly what it sounds like. And it's funny, it's reversed or upright. If you've had me in readings or you have this deck, it's about the same either way. Because look, you can see it in the card. You just turn this around, you have the exact same image. It's the only difference is when it's reversed, it's a little bit on the less happy side, and when it's upright, it's a little bit on the more happy side. And so in November in society, we're still going to have this discontented energy that we've had, especially since well, for the past 10 years or so. But, sometimes it gets better and sometimes it gets worse. In November, it's just a little bit on the depressing side. It's a little bit on the morose, disconnected side. In society, we've been kind of highly divided, highly disconnected. It's something I talk about a lot as far as internet, screens, and all this stuff. It's just allowed us to become narcissistic, not in the loving your own image way, which is not really what narcissism is, but in the not having empathy and compassion for other people sort of way, which is what narcissism actually is. And so that's gotten worse and worse. And then we've also had all the propaganda, all the division. It's been very intentional. And so we just have that. We just have people that are sort of lacking also, therefore, in the connection that is normal to have for humans in society, where even if you don't like some people, you're still there for each other, at least to a basic level, like not disrespecting each other, and potentially at a higher level of even taking care of each other, even if you don't like each other. We're lacking that. So we're very lonely, disconnected people in this society. And that might be a little highlighted in November. So again, if we've got some of those economic challenges, we've got more political division coming, it sounds like, and we've got some more of those sort of things, then it's just going to maybe be highlighted a bit. I wouldn't expect it to be extreme. I wouldn't expect, massive uprisings in the street necessarily against each other, but just a little bit of more sadness, more division, more disconnection from our neighbors. So again, you can intentionally sort of flip this energy around by, doing what I do. When my friends who growing up fight with me on Facebook and unfriend me, I just send them messages like, hey, I'm still going to hug you next time I see you. So you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to deal with telling me to my face that you think you hate me or that you don't want to hug, which is fine. And I won't hug you, but you're going to have to tell me that shit to my face. So don't think this unfriending shit is going to fly with me. So, you can pull things like that. Well, you can also very intentionally go out and just be in a larger community of any kind, because no matter what kind you choose, I shouldn't say that. If you're in Antifa or you're in like a Trump rally, you're probably going to be around very divided people. But if you're at like a church, or you're at like a feeding, the homeless, or you're at like a, any other kind of, even if it's like go out to your local bar and throw like corn bags. What is that called? I think it's just called corn bagging, whatever, cornholing, play games and just be with people. And you're intentionally choosing this. You're not going to solve all of society's division, but now this card is on a little bit happier side than the morose side. So, do what you can to flip this around. Force hugs on people. No, don't actually do that. You know what I mean? And you can help make this a little bit better. So that's our society message. Let's get our spiritual message. This is great. This is the star. We've been waiting, right? And we're going to see more of this as we keep going through this time of change on Earth. And the star, Major Arcana, first one of the reading for November, is all about letting go. And what it is actually about is massive change. So this is our spiritual message. So, we already know society's undergoing massive change. We already know the economy is undergoing massive change. We already know that all of this is, Earth changes and all, geomagnetic excursion and all, massive change. Technology, massive change. This card's more about saying yeah, it's all in massive change, and you just radically let go. You're getting this as a spiritual message. We kind of talk about this in each category in a slightly different way, but the message is always actually this. But you just radically let go. right? The economy crashes, or like, Atlas 31 or whatever comes over, and oh, surprise, there are actually aliens. There's probably not, but there are actually, and they're also hostile, and they're just going to destroy things before we finally kill them. Radically let go. It's just like you just say, all right, this is what we're doing now. I'm here for some reason, right? So, oh well. So it's kind of like as the planes seem to be crashing straight nose down to Earth for 30 seconds or more, maybe a minute, felt like 4 minutes, crashing down to the ground. I was like, oh my God, we're going to die. And then I was just like, huh, okay. I mean, I guess we die this way, right? Like, what are you going to do? You have to let go, right? Your house is leveled by a hurricane, a tornado. It's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to just grasp onto all of it and sit there like holding it? Like, no, you're going to let it go. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean you just get over it right quick. It just means you understand somewhere in the deepest parts of you, you're going to let go and you're going to keep going. Ideally, you do get to that point where you just, yep, let it go. Yep, let it go. Just stuff, things that exist in physical universe. Oh, wow. We're far beyond that. Our soul is far beyond this. Let it all go. So you see her here. She's washing her hair because she's already walked through the rubble. She already saw the destruction. She's just washing it away, saying, oh, well. And this star, the name of the card and the star you see in the image, this is the promise of the future. So you're getting this as a spiritual message for November, is to remember that no matter how things look out here, the future is bright. The future is actually, there's a promise there for you. I know people get into all like, oh, hopium, whatever. If you don't have hope, I don't even know why you're alive. I think it's ridiculous to pretend you don't have hope or to pretend there's something wrong with it. It's like one of the craziest black pill takes on reality I've ever heard. But there actually is hope, and there actually is a promise for the future. And it's especially not crazy. It's very practical, actually. Like I said, it's the only thing that keeps you alive is to genuinely believe there's something in the future for you, or else why would you be alive? And some people have lost that belief, and that's very sad. We call them clinically depressed, and we try to help them through it because we all realize, like, well, that's irrational, right? Otherwise, we'd be like, yeah, you've got the right thing, and we'll go with you. In fact, let's all die, right? So it's why we help clinically depressed people, because we recognize they're just not being rational right now. They've lost touch with reality, which is that the future has a promise for you. So this card says both. It says, hey, lots of stuff is in change, lots of stuff's in flux, lots of stuff may even be destroyed. Let it go. Something in the future is better. Trust that. That's your spiritual message for November. Remember it. Emblazon it in your mind and your heart. Carry it with you wherever you go. It's one of those things that will shine out to others naturally, which is what you want to do. And the final message here overall for November is the Tower. So it's a Tower month potentially. So again, we've seen where it could happen with the economy. It could happen in society a bit. It can happen even in our more interpersonal relationships closer in than that. And maybe even in our health sector leadership or the like. And so there might be some big shakeup, and maybe even a little bit beyond November, but the Tower is what precedes the star moment. Like the Tower crumbles, and that's where this woman we just saw is walking away from and taking a rinse from. The Tower came down and all the soot and grime got all over her, and she walked through and washed it away. It's literally the card after in the series. So the Tower happens, and then right after it, the star happens. So one is 16, the other 17. In this deck, at least. I know it's different from some other decks, but so right after you go through the Tower, you let it go, you wash it away, and you move on. And you remember that the future is better. The Tower is a big shakeup. It's foundational shakeup. It's like the things you relied on are shaken up, right? Which we saw some of in November. And so maybe even a bit more than we might expect. And that's okay. So we remember in these constant changes we've been undergoing and are going to continue to undergo for a handful more years, as Earth is changing, as society is changing, as the collective is changing, towers are going to fall. Foundations are going to shake. That the good thing is that we find out then what was weak and what can't last. And then we rebuild it in a much better way. It doesn't mean we rebuild everything from scratch. It doesn't mean we're cavemen, hitting each other on the head with clubs. It just means that we see, oh, that didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work. We're going to do this better now. All right, we're going to build something that lasts, actually. So the next time our foundation is shook, this tower stays standing. And that's what the tower is. The reversal in this is that potentially most people are not going to be looking at things that way. They're going to try to hold on. They're going to try to catch all the rubble, and they're going to carry it around with them, screaming and flailing mindlessly, right? I'm not saying literally, maybe literally for some people, but metaphorically, symbolically, people are going to be clutching on to the old stuff that is dying and falling away. And so, again, if we go back to our mental emotional card for this month, our job is to be of our highest mind, to be in our highest logic, and to be in our radiating that, right, and our wisdom, allowing it to come through so that some other people might be like, wait, why am I trying to hold on to this rubble? That person's not. Maybe I can let this go. Maybe we can bring a few more people into this star mentality with us, right? Of letting it all go. That's where we want to be. That's our spiritual message. It's our spiritual goal, especially for November and also for the rest of this geomagnetic excursion, economic transformation, and the collective transformation that we're going through is this exact message. So keep it all in mind. Keep it in your heart is the best way to go forward from here. We want to keep our eyes on that star, moving forward. And that is your November Tarot Oracle. And if you would like your own personal tarot reading, we're going to be coming up on 2026 soon. And so in a couple months, we'll be doing our yearly reading where you get your whole year ahead of time. But until then, if you want a personal reading of just what's here for you, what's coming up, what can you look forward to, you can come schedule at roguesoul.org. You can receive healing. You can go to the drop-down menu and go to the schedule area. You can also do the sound healing, the spirit guide session where we channel your spiritual guides and allies, get some healing coming through from you, some messages coming through for you, very profound. Or you can also do past life tarot. We can dive into some past life, get on the level with some of that karma you're carrying around with you, so you can help release that a little bit more easily too. All this transformation and more is possible. I'd love to support you through it. So go to roguesoul.org, book your session today. And that will be great. So, it's nice to get a sort of look at the month ahead. It's nice to get our bearings. It's nice to be reminded of some of those spiritual, mental, emotional truths that help us navigate this stuff. I love it. It's also nice to work one-on-one. So I hope I get to work with you soon. Go schedule now. And remember, if you didn't already, go click that first link you see below you and go follow Johnny on his Kickstarter campaign. Doesn't cost you anything, gives him a huge boost. Get any of your friends, family, whoever, coworkers to do it if you can. We would love it. So grateful for you. And I think that's it. So until we meet again, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
To them screens, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones of holly. Suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempt the mental robbery, executed sloppily. The hypocrisy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.